let's hit record. Yeah.
Oh, you're okay. Cool.
So we'll remember that. I'm going to make a note.
Yeah. So I'll do. So okay.
Yeah. Well, let's
That's actually a great idea because it is a big issue where we're not able to kind of like do that as effectively as we can, and that's good because I have I told you that I stopped putting money in my pension because of just to spend it on these kind of things anyway. So I figured if I'm going to invest in something, I might as well just invest in myself and the company. So.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So let's just decide. I mean, does that sound like a strategy that you think is worthwhile?
Oh yeah, I think so. Especially if we switched a little bit from schools to universities.
Okay.
I think schools would be helpful it'll be a low-hanging fruit to help us kind of get on board and probably keep doing it for free, get feedback, that kind of stuff. Because if I offered,
I've just
because it can offer them like, you had a thought. Okay, go ahead then. What do you have?
I just had a brainwave. A friend of mine.
Okay.
Friend of mine has written 2 books aimed at universities around the world, and he like went and interviewed all the like heads of universities, and he will have the list. I'm certain he will have the list, so I'll contact him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I would love that. Okay, great.
And he may even have some, like, good contacts within those universities that you could go straight to them.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that'll be amazing. If he doesn't, I don't know if he wants. Okay, I was gonna say referral, but probably not. We'll start with just with the emails and do that.
I'll speak to him. Yeah. Sorry, do carry on.
Well, I was gonna say. I also thought, and that's actually Sarah's idea. Like we thought maybe we offer the school some money and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna sponsor this event or whatever. And then it'll just, be based on the product or whatever. And then, okay, pay $1,000 or something. And then we come and this way it gives us an entry to them.
Do that when
maybe we'll start with the emails first.
Do that when you've made money. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a look in the chat. Have a look in the chat box I just sent you. So I just did a Google search, and that was what came up.
Oh wow! Yeah. My goodness, yes.
So
I get 1% of those.
Just to give you an idea there.
Yeah. Okay.
Now
I get 1%. That's 50. So.
Now, what would be? So now let's put ourselves in the shoes of the person at university, who would be the decision maker that you would need to get to.
So there are 2 people. I can target it from 2 ways. If I went through their technology directors, so they probably have a technology director. Somebody who's responsible for the labs, responsible for the softwares and technologies and infrastructure in the university and how the communication is going, all that stuff. Because every university or college will have that in there, right? We can target those folks, or so this way it becomes a technical conversation saying, okay, do you have a need for something like that?
Yeah.
Of some way to manage your encryption. They would understand the technology. They would understand a lot of the features, why it's competitive with others.
Yeah.
Or we can hit the people who do deal with the confidential information all the time. So I can target the deans of the department, so the department heads, and ask them if it's, well, do you have any confidential information that you're sharing with your staff? And we have this use case or this product that would help you kind of manage this confidential information.
Okay.
But then, of course, they're going to lead us to, if they like it and they know there's a need, then it becomes them telling the technology director, hey, meet with these guys. So eventually, that technology director has to be the person who signs off and says, yeah, this thing works in our environment, this thing we like. But the need can come from somebody else also.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it does. So that's a really important point. So often, like a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into is they create the product first without actually making sure there's a market to buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let's hone in on what you just said about there being a need. Are you certain that there is a need, or that they realize that they need this product? And there's a difference, I'll just add to that, between the need and the want, because they may need it, but they might not necessarily want it.
Okay, so what do you mean if they need it but they don't want it?
Okay.
If they okay, go ahead.
Let's say, to use this like analogy, okay, so let's say you're doing some DIY at home, okay?
Okay.
And,
I do a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a bit of a handyman.
Okay, yeah. I have to. Okay.
And you need to put some, your wife's saying, okay, I want to put some shelves up over there, all right? And you say, well, all right, so I need to drill some holes, okay? And you go to the shop and you ask the man, you say, right, I want a drill, okay? So you want a drill, but you don't actually want the drill. You need a hole, okay? So you need a hole. So it's whether they
okay,
they need the data encryption, but do they actually want it? Because there's a difference between what you want and what you actually need. And when you find out what they want, then it's easier to make the sale. Because often we need to get fit, right? But
yeah,
if we don't want to go to the gym, then we're not going to buy the subscription.
Yeah, but then how do isn't the whole challenge is to sell them on the want, like to sell them on
this is where your skills of sales need to come in, because you need to dig at the problem. You need to be able to make them realize the extent of, if they don't encrypt their data, the problems that could arise. So you need to create enough pain so that they say, okay, we need to do something about this now. And the solution is what you're offering them.
Gotcha.
So if we dig around in the pain of what could go wrong if they didn't have the correct encryption in place.
Okay, so if I have to dig in, so first, going back to the question, do I know if they need it, or do we know if there is a need for this? Based on initial feedback from that one university professor that we talked to, yes, there is a need for it. There is a need to encrypt the data. Do they want it? They've been going without it for a very long time, trusting that there aren't that many issues or nothing bad happens. We can show the pain by if an email that you sent, because one of the biggest features that we have and is very helpful is when I'm communicating with you, Christian, then that communication is only going to you. So I have control over that email and the content, so it doesn't get forwarded to somebody else. So that would help them with the pain of that information doesn't go to another student, right, or another stakeholder, nobody other than the recipient, or in some cases, other professors. So if they're talking, if the staff within themselves, for example, are talking about 10 years or something that involves the professors, then that information doesn't, you guarantee that information stays at that level, so it doesn't go to somebody else who doesn't need to see that information. Make sense? Okay. The other feature that would help them with the pain is you can control you can limit the amount of time that person can see the information. So I can send you a note and then decide that it expires tomorrow. So I have only today to see it, or like a week or something to see the information, but then after that, I hide it from you. I don't know exactly how. I have to go back through the email because we have an email from that university professor listing out all these features, and stuff that he thinks that would be helpful.
Brilliant.
So I can go back to it and see what are all the things that he wrote in there, and how can we maybe target it a little bit more and see, because he did actually talk about different scenarios and different things that they can use. So I can look that up and see what other pain points they would have. So am I 100% sure that they would want the product? Because I know you talk about like building the product first, and then there's the needs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm 100% sure, but I'm like a 70 or an 80% sure, because when we partnered with one of our the partner who developed the product, he already sold it to some companies. Well, there was a company in the UK, I think he sold it to, and there was another company in Sudan, because he's also from Sudan like me, so he sold it to them. He had to stop kind of like the selling. It was only a one-man show, so he couldn't keep traction. But he wasn't very successful to getting it going within the US. That's when we kind of came on board and tried to help him kind of sell it and market. So we know there is some need, and once it gets installed, people start using it, and it's very effective. And so that's why people don't know about it, and maybe it becomes one of those things that you feel like, I don't know, like Word and the spelling check, right? Like, all right, you just take for granted that there's always a spelling check in everything. If there's another tool that doesn't have a spelling check, then yeah. But then the first person who invented it, or the first person who came out of it, they'll be like, well, I can look in the dictionary, right? Or figure it out on their own. Maybe they don't need it. But then now it becomes a necessity, I guess. So I feel like this one is one of them. Like, hey, it's there if you want to use it, if ever you want to send any confidential information. And there's a lot of different scenarios where there might be a need for it.
Okay.
I used it when I was trying to sell my house, so that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. So a couple of things that cropped up there. Firstly, if you were talking to me now as a potential customer, and I said, okay, sounds good. Where can I go and read a bit more and find out a bit more about it?
We have a website, but you've seen
it. Okay, that's cool. So you have it, and remind me of the URL. It's Secure Lock, is it, or what's the URL?
Lock Magic.
Lock Magic.
Lock Magic. Hold on. Yeah.
www. I got it. Okay. So, do you have access to the site? Did you create this? Can you update it?
No, I haven't. Not yet, but I could. I can get access and start updating and that kind of stuff.
Do you know how to like edit the pages? And if you wanted to just create a new page, is that something you can do? Or?
I could. I've done some stuff with WordPress. I'm not sure what technology he's using for his website. So I can potentially figure it out, because I computer science background, so I can do
it. Okay, who created this site? Is it one of your partners?
I think yeah, one of the partners did it.
Okay, all right. So what I'm going to suggest is that, if possible, you get access, because throughout these calls, I'd like you to start implementing stuff straight away. So like today, we're talking about digging into the pain and highlighting why it's so important for people to use this. And then I would like you to actually, not publicly, but just actually start building out one sales page and putting all of this stuff in there when it's fresh in your head, okay? So between our calls, we can see the progress and the page, so that, by the end, you're going to have a really, really good sales page, which you can start sending out to people. Because if you're going to outsource this contact method, and people are going to start coming back to you, and they may well ask, they're like, well, can you just send us a link so we can just get an idea of what it's about? And if you haven't got anything to send them, you're going to miss out on the opportunity.
Yeah. He has a lot of content in there, but I don't feel that it's structured in a way that's maybe targeted for the audience that we want, or necessarily in an easy to digest format. So I feel like it maybe needs a little bit of, I like the idea. So I can do that.
Okay, so let me just make a note of that as well. And all you really need to do is just be able to kind of write some text. It doesn't need to look fancy. We can deal with all of that later. We just want to get the message right.
Okay.
I'm just adding all of these as like individual tasks. So don't get overwhelmed when you go into Asana and see loads of stuff. Okay. It's just so that we don't forget.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I take it like, I deal with that every day, or like actually my week I start that way, where sometimes when I can, like, write in the tasks that I need to do, and then it just becomes a checklist. So you take one at a time. So that's not a problem.
I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to look at the page now together. And I'm going to just share with you a little formula, which is really, really helpful. So let me know if you can see the screen.
I do right now. Yes.
Look familiar?
It does look familiar.
You know these guys?
Yeah. I do know these guys. That's why it's so cool to have like a support group. It's so awesome.
Okay, so can you see the Lot Magic? You can see the Lot Magic page, yeah? Is that what you're seeing?
Not.
Oh, okay, not yet.
Not yet. I just see.
What can you see?
Oh, hold on. For some reason, it switched to. Hold on. For some reason, it switched to mine. Okay, yes. Now I can see Lot Magic.
See the website. Okay, great.
Yes.
Because
it had the escape the rat race.
I had the workplace.
Yeah. So if you go ahead.
Hopefully it doesn't slow down the internet too much. I'll just share it for a little while, because I haven't got the best, strongest internet here in the
Okay.
cafe. So
no worries. That's fine. It's working.
We're looking at the homepage, right? So the first thing, if you think about someone who it's difficult for you to do this, but someone who has no understanding at all of what this website is about. Okay, so they're fresh eyes, first time they're looking at it, and obviously the bounce rate with websites is like 3 seconds. So if someone doesn't get it straight away, they're gone.
Yeah.
All right. So I think your headline there is effortless encryption without passwords, securing people one person at a time. So I think that's okay. We can probably improve on it, but at least it does explain what it is. Securing people one person at a time. I might say, well, I'm not really sure what that means. So we maybe have a look at that. And this is where getting some feedback. So asking some people to come onto your site and give you feedback just like this. So literally just say what you see, just talk and explain. So, do you understand what it means? Do you know what it does? And do you know who it's targeted at? Because if people don't get it, they'll leave straight away. Okay. Yeah. Now this is a formula I'm going to share with you. So it's called the 5 Ps. All right. Now this is a formula that you will use for your website. You can use it for your videos if you're doing promotion. You can use it for any kind of sales, marketing, brochures, and literature. And it begins. The first P is the problem. Okay. So you must first, when you're speaking to someone or selling, is you need to identify the problem that they have. Because if you start talking straight away about what the product is, then, they may not even have a need for it. All right. So there's no point talking about all the features, what it does, if you haven't first identified that they have a problem that it can fix. And also it comes down to that thing about digging in their problems. So if you say to someone, well, let's just think as an example for this, what would happen if one of your confidential emails to, the head of the university got leaked, or one of the students got access to it, what would happen? And they would say, oh, well, that'd be a big problem, right? That'd be a huge problem. And you go, okay, great.
Exactly.
Right. So then you would move on to the next P, which is the promise. Okay. So the promise is basically like how the solution, so how your thing could fix that. So you could say, okay, so imagine if it got, what would happen if that email got leaked? They would say, well, that would be a big problem. Okay. And then so that you would then move on. So if you're thinking about designing your web page, like your first message might be, something that really triggers like the big problem that exists out there. Not enough people, have X, or You know, a lot of headlines will do that.
Yeah.
Then the promise is, okay,
Yeah.
you know, we provide the solution which takes care of all of that, effortless encryption without passwords. That's kind of like your promise, yeah? Effortless encryption without passwords is what you can do. Then after that, if the person has identified they got the problem, they know that you can help them solve it. So that's the problem and the promise. Then as they start scrolling down your page, you can start to talk about the third P, which is the product. That's where you start to go into a bit more detail about what it does or how it works. Which is what you do, you know.
Because
like
this way there's a little bit of there. Yeah, that's true. We do talk a little bit more information. It is, but I do think that this information is a little bit more, it's a bit technical in some, like when, you know, it says patent identity based, because identity based is a technical term, authentication, secure email. So maybe, I don't know, what do you think? Sorry, because you're reading it. Maybe I should get your feedback instead of mine.
I mean, that enterprise on-premise encryption, I'm thinking, what the hell does that mean? Like, I don't know what I mean.
And you shouldn't really, unless you're in the IT field. There's really no need for you to understand.
So I think it is a bit technical. Also remember, when in every person's head that is a potential customer of yours. So, you know, the people that you said at the universities, the only thing they're thinking about, you're thinking about trying to sell them your product, okay? That's what's going on in your head. You're thinking, I want to sell. In their head, all they're thinking is one thing: what's in it for me? That's all they care about, right?
That's true.
If it can solve a big enough problem for them, then price doesn't become an issue. Because you think about it for yourself, right? If you're, I mean, use something really extreme, okay, for a moment. So let's just say, you know, your house is burning down, or, you know, on fire, and your kids are inside, right? And someone says, I can get your kids out, but it's going to cost like $100,000. And you don't have $100,000, but you say, fine, do it. I'll find $100,000. Yeah?
Yes, that's true.
Because if you want it bad,
I would,
if you want it bad enough, then you'll find the money. So this is where you need to know what the problem is, that they realize that they need to fix it. And they're more interested in getting the problem fixed than they are in how much it costs.
Yeah, that's true.
So that kind of moves on.
I think that's very helpful.
That moves on to the fourth P. So after you've explained the product, so repeat back to me what the four P's are so far, or the three P's. I haven't told you
the three ones. The first one is the problem, and so basically identify what the problem is, and what would happen if that is what would happen if their information was hacked or something like that. Like, what is the problem that they have? So from their perspective, and then what's the promise? So what is the solution that we're trying to fix? So as example, like the effortless encryption, and then the third P is the product. And here we kind of explain from their point of view how that product will help how that product will help that problem.
Okay.
That problem, right?
Fantastic. Yep. Fantastic.
Okay.
And the fourth P is proof.
Okay.
This is where you would now, if we kept scrolling. Okay, so if I'm scrolling now, double click that. I'm still getting product here. I'm still getting lots of detail about what it does, how it does it. Stay in control of your data, alerts. Okay, it's still what it does. So it's still very features. Okay, it's all very feature based. This is what it does.
Yeah.
Rather than benefit based, as in how this is going to help the person. So you really want them to be scrolling and for them to be going, oh my God, I need this. Yeah. Which is which is by identifying the problem and emotion, because people buy on emotion. People don't buy on technical stuff. They buy on feeling of, I want this, I really need it, or I want it, or it's going to change my life, or it's going to make things easier, or it's going to make me more beautiful, or it's going to make me richer. Yeah, it's that emotion. Yeah. That's what makes people buy. Okay. or fear that if I don't have this, like everything's going to like be a disaster. Which is maybe you're maybe selling a bit more on that rather than the desire, because it's not really a sexy product. Yeah, it's not really like something that's, you know, like a Ferrari. You're not selling a Ferrari to someone here. Yeah. But you're selling more the opposite. You know,
unless you work in encryption or something. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You wouldn't necessarily see that.
Well, the thing is, if you're talking to your techie people, like you said at the university, then you would talk to them more about this stuff, because that's what turns them on, right? They like all this stuff. But if it's someone who's not a techie, then make sure you don't. This is where wealth dynamics comes in so much, because you need to understand what type of person you're speaking to, because you'll change your sales conversation based upon that. Because if you're speaking to someone like yourself who's very on the steel side, they want and they need lots of detail in order to make a buying decision. If you start talking detail to a blaze person or a dynamo, they're going to switch off, because they'll be like, it's just way too much. Yeah. They won't buy.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, you'll lose them straight away.
They won't.
So that's really, really good to know. So anyway, fourth P is proof. So you would want to start putting some testimonials here of other people who have used the service and are saying, oh, it's brilliant, it changed our life. You know, we don't ever have to worry about anything getting leaked, or basically saying all of the you know, the things that you put at the top, like the fears, basically saying how all of those fears have now disappeared as a result of using your product.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you don't have those testimonials, you need to go out and ask some of your existing clients, reaffirm the value that they're getting from using the product, and ask if they wouldn't mind just supplying a short, brief testimonial. Just let them know, hey, you know, we've just been kind of like, you know, we've been in beta for a while for the product, and you know, you've been one of our valued clients. You know, really appreciate that you've been an early adopter, and hope that you've been getting loads of value. Just want to check back in and you know, make sure everything's okay. Check that it is. Make sure they're happy still. See if there's anything else that they need, and then ask them if they wouldn't mind just giving you a little testimonial and say, look, we're really kind of like, you know, going big this year with it, so you know, would really appreciate your feedback.
Okay.
And put a couple on here. You only need a couple, right? Here. And then the final P.
Yeah, not that much.
The final P, you guess what one we haven't covered yet?
There's one more left.
Yeah, can you think what that might be? What P?
Price?
Yes, that's it.
There's a price.
So the price comes at the end.
So
when you've done the job of selling, then the price hopefully should not be a barrier. But a lot of people will want to ask the price straight away. You know, a lot of people say straight, how much is it? And you don't want to answer that. You want to make sure you identify the problem, then tell them how much you can solve it, and go through all of that process first.
Yeah.
Then you'll get less objection.
Okay, because we did talk about like the, you know, how are we going to price it, and should we put the price on the side or not, or what? So we need to do some thinking about,
you know,
that kind of stuff.
You may not even need to. You may just have a button at the bottom which just says, hey, you know, inquire or book a call. This, you know, often just book a call to discuss is a good thing, or just a message, you know, an contact form. So you know, you don't need
the call to actions.
But this process works even if you're having a conversation with someone on the phone. So you want to start, you know, have it literally written on a piece of paper next to you when you're having a call with someone, and go through it in that order, and just get really good and really comfortable at doing that, so that it will come naturally after a while. You won't even need to look at it. You know, you'll just naturally know how to flow a conversation. Yeah, does that make sense?
Okay. It does make sense.
Okay, great.
It's actually very helpful, I think.
Cool.
Because when I think about like when we had our calls, it wasn't that structured anyway. So okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that is a good point for us to finish for today. We're nearly up.
Yeah.
It goes
Okay.
quickly, right? 45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, it does. I know. Yeah.
But it's good because,
Absolutely.
there's no point overloading you with too much because, otherwise this won't have the bandwidth
Okay.
to actually to do anything with it.
Yeah, this was a lot. This was enough, I think. Yeah, it's a lot of information to digest. So I'll go through that again just to kind of have it sync and some of those action. And if you already put some of those action items in Asana anyway, so I'll review that.
Yeah. So the one task I'm going to set, and you can do more, or if you have time. But the one thing I'd like you to do before our next call is to actually write out a 1-page based upon those 5 Ps.
Okay.
So it just can be bullets, but I just want you to at least have some points written under each of those 5 categories.
I can do that.
Cool.
That sounds like a good plan.
All right, good stuff.
All right.
And try and get access to the web page so that then we can start to actually put that into the website as well. Yeah.
I will do that.
Okay, great. Any final questions before we wrap it up today?
No, I'm good. I think that was it.
All right.
I'll schedule our next call in a couple of weeks or so, and then that's it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect.
All right, good stuff. And any questions that you have, so please use the group as much as you wish. Don't be shy or about posting questions. You can either post them publicly if it's something that you think everyone might have be able to help with, or if it's a private question, just use the chat. Did you download it on your phone? Did you get Workplace on the phone?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I will.
That's the easiest thing. Just put the apps, 2 apps on there, and then you just message me whenever you think something. You've got a question, just message me.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Excellent.
That'll be awesome.
All right, then. Awesome. All right, well, you have a good day.
Thank you very much, Kristen. Yeah, you have the same. Enjoy yourself and enjoy your weekend and everything. So
thank you.
Stay safe.
All right, take care.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Have a go. Bye.